The Volkswagen ID.3 may not have quite ushered in the glowing new era that Volkswagen hoped it would, but it is a really good car. It's spacious, it's well equipped, it's really nice to drive, but it could have been improved, it could have been a bit classier, and then there's that infotainment. Well, this is the facelifted Volkswagen ID.3, which the company hopes is going to solve a lot of those problems. Behind me, you can actually see the pre-facelift car, and if you look at it and then look at this new one, you can actually see some of the styling differences. So the black bar across the bottom of the windscreen, that's gone. It's new headlights. You've got more aerodynamic intakes here. So they've really kind of gone to some lengths to make this look a bit more aggressive, really. A bit sharper in general. The rear headlights as well, they've been updated. Now, the ID.3 is going to start from just over £37,000. The range has been trimmed down to 2 trims, so you've got Pro and Pro S. You've still got 58 kilowatt hour or 77 kilowatt hour batteries, with your maximum range up to 347 miles. A smaller battery with a 210 mile range will join the lineup later. The dimensions and interior layout remain the same too, so you still get a car that's 4.26 metres long. That's a bit shorter than the Golf, even though you do get the same 385 litre boot spaces in the Golf and a bit more rear legroom. So one of the biggest complaints about the Volkswagen ID.3 has been this infotainment system. It really has kind of plagued the car from its launch. Now, this system, frustratingly, is still a 10-inch screen. In 2024, we're going to get a bigger 12.5-inch screen in the UK, and we're going to get backlit versions of these slider controls underneath the screen. Now, look, I'm not going to lie about it. I still hate the sliders underneath the screen. I still think they're too easy to hit. That's all, still out there. But at least the software has been updated too. So you've now got slightly easier menus, layouts. You've got your own charging menu, which is really useful. I still think the screen could be a bit quicker to respond. You've still got over-the-air software updates, so that's another good thing, that you do have all this stuff kind of is going to update itself as you go along anyway. I still think this system actually isn't as bad as perhaps the reputation it's kind of gained. I've never had a huge amount of problems with it. My biggest issue is how long it takes to start up in the morning. That still frustrates me. But certainly this one looks like it's a little bit better, and it seems to respond a touch quicker. Interestingly, Volkswagen has also updated the charger search function. So when you plan a route with the inbuilt nav on here, it will actually decide, tell you where there are some fast chargers, and then perhaps plot in 2 smaller, shorter charges, which is how you actually use an electric car in the real world. You don't stop and charge for 45 minutes to an hour or whatever. You stop a couple of times for 10 or 15 minutes. And of course, you've still got wireless Apple CarPlay, Android Auto, all of that stuff. I still think there are big improvements to be made with this system in terms of its response times, but the graphics are great. I think when we get that bigger screen and the backlit buttons down here, that'll be good. It's a shame it hasn't arrived now, but hey, there you have it. Another big complaint with the ID.3 was interior, the finish, the general kind of quality of the car, because I think lots of people had very high expectations for Volkswagen with that. Didn't quite meet them. I think it's quite a lot nicer. I haven't seen any of the other models that are out here on the launch. I think it's pretty nice. I do like this sort of suede finish. I like the fact that Volkswagen's now got 70% recycled materials as well in its interiors. That's really good. So it's all going in the right direction. It does feel classier in here. The infotainment is a bit better, but it does all feel a bit incremental, is my only feeling. If you want the cheaper Pro trim, you'll have to settle for the 58 kilowatt hour battery, which will charge at up to 120 kilowatts. Good for an 80% recharge time of 35 minutes. The Pro S is available with both batteries, and if you go for the bigger 77 kilowatt hour car, it gets rapid charging of up to 170 kilowatts, which will do the same charge in 30 minutes despite the greater range that you'll be getting. So, is the ID.3 now transformed to be the most competitive car in the class with this facelift? Yes and no. The ID.3 has always been a very recommendable car, and now with a better interior and slightly better infotainment, it's even more so. But it is such a shame that that bigger touchscreen hasn't arrived, and it does feel like quite incremental changes. So yes, the ID.3 feels a bit refreshed, but I think it's when that larger touchscreen appears and when there's a model that's a bit cheaper with a lower range that the car will become really the competitive force that it should have been from the off.